President Park Geun-hye will deliver her third parliamentary speech this year on the government's budget plans for 2017. And Kurdish fighters liberate Iraq's northern city of Bashika from ISIS militants as they move closer to Mosul, the jihadists' last stronghold in the country. With slightly over 2 weeks until the election, a new U.S. national poll shows Republican candidate Donald Trump trails Hillary Clinton by double digits. These and more coming right up.
Hello, it's 6 a.m. on Monday here in Seoul. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Hwang Ji-hye. The National Assembly will begin reviewing the government's 2017 budget plan this week. Before the process starts, President Park Geun-hye will head to the Assembly today to seek lawmakers' support in passing bills related to improving people's livelihoods in a timely manner. For more on what's likely to be in her message, Song Ji-sun reports.
The National Assembly has until December 2nd to review and pass next year's government budget, and President Park will pay a visit to Parliament to ask lawmakers for their cooperation so that the budget can be promptly put into action for the people. Her speech Monday morning will focus on urging lawmakers to pass the related bills to reinvigorate people's livelihoods, especially ones related to labor reform and deregulation aimed at creating jobs, which the Assembly failed to pass in the previous session.
국회와 정부는 국민을 위해 일하는 국정 운영의 동반자입니다. 견제와 균형 그리고 건강한 긴장 관계가 필요하다고 해도 국가를 위하고 국민을 위하는 일에는 하나가 되어야 합니다. 이제 국회와 국민과 정부가 하나가 돼서 이런 변화의 모멘텀을 잘 살리려는 노력을 해야 국가 경제를 살릴 수 있습니다.
With economic uncertainties like a rate hike by the U.S. Fed expected by the end of this year and security threats like North Korea's continued provocations, the president will highlight the need for unity to counter outstanding crises in and outside of the country.
한반도에 언제든지 김정은 정권의 도발과 어떠한 변화의 바람이 불어 닥칠 수 있다는 것을 항상 염두에 두고 미국을 비롯한 국제사회와 한층 긴밀히 협력하면서 필요한 모든 준비와 대비를 빈틈없이 해나갈 수 있도록 최선의 노력을 다해야 합니다.
President Park is the first Korean leader to give an annual address to Parliament on the government's budget plan. She will also sit down with political party leaders before stepping up to the podium for her speech on Monday. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Korea's state prosecutors on Sunday summoned the former chairman of the under fire Mir Foundation. The organization, which was set up in October last year to promote Korean culture, has been mired in corruption allegations. Kim Young-soo, a professor at Seoul's Yonsei University, was the first director of the foundation. He told reporters he did nothing wrong but remained silent on questions related to two people with ties to President Park Geun-hye who are suspected of using their connections to raise money for the foundation and otherwise influence its operations. Those two are Choi Soon-sil, a close aide of the president, and Hyun Taek, a renowned advertisement director. Questions focused on whether the two actually wielded strong influence over Mir. Prosecutors also summoned one of the directors for another organization and questioned K-Sports, as well as a government official who approved the founding of both foundations. There is growing interest in a recent unofficial meeting between a North Korean diplomat and a former U.S. government official. The South Korean government responded, saying it does not hold any special meaning in terms of Washington's stance toward the regime. Lee Min-young tells us more.
The South Korean government is playing down the significance of the informal dialogue between a North Korean delegation and former U.S. government officials that took place on Friday and Saturday in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. An official at Seoul's foreign ministry stressed that the U.S. government has confirmed that the dialogue with North Korea, which was held through unofficial channels, does not reflect Washington's stance towards Pyongyang. The official added that the U.S. is maintaining its position that it will not rush to hold talks with North Korea in the absence of substantial progress on the regime's denuclearization. According to the official, both South Korea and the U.S. will continue to impose strict sanctions and keep up the pressure on Pyongyang, together with the international community. The North's delegation to the closed-door meeting with the former U.S. officials appears to have been led by its Vice Foreign Minister, Han Sung-yeol. The U.S. side included Robert Gallucci, who negotiated a landmark 1994 nuclear freeze deal with Pyongyang, and former U.S. Deputy Nuclear Negotiator Joseph R. Detrani. The meeting occurred right after the North test-fired a mid-range Musudan missile on Thursday, which failed shortly after it was launched. Lee Min-young, Arirang News.
North Korea has announced a recent typhoon forced some 68,000 people to abandon their homes, but the true number is reportedly much higher. A senior researcher at the Sejong Institute, citing a source who visits the North frequently, says the number of people displaced by Typhoon Lionrock back in August was, in fact, around 300,000. Backing up this estimate are numerous photos obtained by South Korea's Yonhap news agency that show large-scale devastation and ongoing efforts to repair damaged infrastructure. Analysts say on October 10th, when Pyongyang was widely expected to carry out a missile launch or nuke test, it's highly likely the regime exercised restraint because the North was reeling from the worst flooding in more than 50 years. Kurdish Peshmerga forces have taken the town of Bashika from the so-called Islamic State as coalition forces advance toward Mosul. The president of the Iraqi Kurdish region said Sunday that the Kurds liberated the town with the help of Turkish fighters. Coalition forces have now advanced to within 5 kilometers of Mosul, but officials say it could take a long time to recapture the city, which has a population of 1.5 million. Intense street fighting is expected as an Iraqi ground force of about 30,000 joined by U.S. Special Forces and under American, French, and British air cover is ready to push into the jihadists' last stronghold in Iraq. It's expected to be the biggest battle in the country since the U.S.-led invasion in 2003. With slightly over a fortnight until Election Day, a new poll shows U.S. Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton has a double-digit lead over her Republican rival Donald Trump. The ABC News poll released on Sunday shows Clinton leading Trump by 12 percentage points, 50% to 38%. Libertarian Gary Johnson and Green Party nominee Jill Stein had 5% and 2% respectively. Almost 70% said they were turned off by the sexual allegations against Trump, and some 60% disagreed with his assertion that the election is rigged. Regarding those claims, Trump's son Eric Trump said on Sunday that his father will absolutely accept the results of the election if it's fair. The ABC News poll was conducted last weekend via telephone among a random national sample of fewer than 900 likely voters. It has a margin of error of plus or minus 3.5 percentage points. Korea's biggest automaker Hyundai Motor has made it into the top 5 in the U.S. hybrid car market thanks to its Sonata hybrid model. According to hybridcars.com, that particular model sold nearly 2,000 units last month. That makes it the 5th best-selling vehicle in its category, with the Toyota Camry leading the way. The Sonata hybrid accounted for around 8% of total hybrid sales in America last month, up from last year's 4.7%. While the hybrid car market in the States shrunk by about 3% on year, Hyundai's hybrid sales in that country saw an increase of more than 53% from a year ago. AT&T has agreed to buy out media giant Time Warner for $85.4 billion in a deal that's expected to draw scrutiny from antitrust regulators. The American telecom company made the announcement over the weekend, saying it would pay $107 for each share of Time Warner and also take on its debt bringing the total value of the transaction to nearly $109 billion. But with AT&T also providing mobile and TV services, analysts question whether content providers will get equal access to those networks if the company controls Time Warner's TV and film operations like CNN and HBO. The deal is likely to be subject to approval by the U.S. Department of Justice. One of the figures voicing strong opposition to the deal is Donald Trump. He says he'll block the merger if he wins the White House. For the first time, Chinese companies have more money invested overseas than other countries have invested in China. According to the Korea International Trade Association, the amount of foreign direct investment by Chinese companies increased more than 53% during the January to August period from last year to stand at a combined $118.1 billion US dollars. That's nearly 10 times the amount seen a decade ago when China first started to encourage companies to invest abroad as part of the country's strategy to secure advanced technology markets and resources. On the other hand, FDI into China remained about the same as last year at $85.9 billion. The Korean government has chosen 2 energy-related projects to support in the coming years. The Ministry of Science, ICT and Future Planning unveiled on Sunday a 5-year investment plan for the development of highly efficient, flexible solar cell batteries that can be installed on the exterior walls of a building. It's to be spearheaded by the Korea Institute of Energy Research and will receive funding of around $2.2 million US dollars a year. The Korea Institute of Science and Technology will be in charge of the other project, a 4-year investment plan for the development of highly energy-efficient fuel cells that are 60% smaller in volume. The ministry plans to invest around $1.9 million a year in the latter project. A rare species of stony cup coral has been discovered in Korea's Dokdo Island. The National Institute of Biological Resources made the official report on Sunday saying it found a large colony of this coral during biodiversity research conducted in June. The cluster, measuring around 3 meters high and 5 meters wide, was found some 25 meters below the surface west of Seoul. It's considered a breakthrough discovery as sessile animals like coral can be used as a useful indicator when studying the ecosystem of the island and its surrounding waters. This is the largest colony of this particular type of coral found in Korea so far and adds to the list of 20 endangered species of Dokdo. After 7 years of research, a team of scientists from around the world, including one from Korea, has been able to decode the complex genetic makeup of the African clawed frog. The discovery is an important one as these amphibians are often used to study human disease. Park Se-young has the details.
For a century, African clawed frogs have served as a model system for a variety of biological studies. The frogs are the only vertebrate models that allowed scientists to study gene function and biochemistry in action in the body. They also lay lots of eggs at once, and the eggs, which are both large and clear, are ideal for experiments. One international research team made use of the frog's unique composition to sequence its entire genome for the first time, a process that took 7 years. The study took such a long time because the frogs have 4 sets of chromosomes, whereas many organisms have just 2. The findings are expected to help expand the understanding of vertebrate evolution, which doubled twice 500 million years ago. The discoveries will also provide new clues for research on human conditions, including cancer and congenital abnormalities. For example, the researchers can inject human disease genes into the frog eggs and study the changes over time.
By injecting a disease gene directly into the eggs, we can observe its function as every organ develops. Our findings could be very helpful to the research into human disease genes.
The study, published in the scientific journal Nature, is expected to lead the way in the research of fatal diseases like cancer. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
And that wraps it up for now. Thank you for watching. I'm Hung Jie, and do join us again at 8 a.m. Korea time for more news updates. So goodbye for now.